morning, good afternoon, good evening. When Zimbabwe gained her independence in 1980, the nation had the potential to become the South Korea of Africa. It was a jewel. We had the right infrastructure we inherited from the white colonial regime. We've got vast resources. The potential was unbelievable. And unlike some African countries, when Zimbabwe gained their independence in 1980, it had a large pool of well-educated blacks. Unfortunately for the country, they were educated to do the wrong thing, to loot, instead of creating a prosperous nation. The likes of Robert Mugabe and these ZANU-PF cronies. Robert Mugabe himself had 7 degrees. But alas, they had no common sense, let alone vision. So this quotation I put on the screen, I think is very relevant. The problem isn't a lack of money, food, water, or land. The problem is that you have given control of these things to a group of greedy psychopaths who care more about maintaining their own power than helping the nation. That's very true. We have seen this theme being repeated over and over again the last 45 years. Here is Margaret Thatcher talking about why some nations are prosperous, whilst others are a failure. I believe what she's saying here is very true of Zimbabwe.
Countries are not rich in proportion to their natural resources. If they were, Russia would now be the richest country in the world. Angola would be very rich, and there are many other countries that have a lot of natural resources, but they have not had an enterprise economy to develop those resources. Russia has everything: oil, gas, diamonds, platinum, gold, silver, timber, marvelous soil, but has been poor. She's also, on the second point, got very bad environment, the Aral Sea. I remember going to one communist country in about the 60s and seeing a powder coming out of a chimney of brown gas, which of course is a nitrous gas. And I was absolutely horrified. I said, well, what are you doing letting that happen? The lungs of the people must be terrible. This is acid. You can't let that go on. Tact has never been my strong point, as you know. And it is the countries that have had the wrong system, which have not created the wealth, have not cared about people. Look at the other side. Japan, no natural resources. Switzerland, no natural resources. Taiwan, no natural resources. It is the political system which enhances the enterprise of the people and gives it a framework within which to operate, which will deal with this poverty.
Well, she is right. And I think if the truth be said about Zimbabwe, is that in Zimbabwe, the ordinary people have not only given absolute power to the psychos, the greedy psychos, but we've gone one step further. The people themselves have been easily conned by the greedy cycles to participate in flawed elections to give the ruling elite legitimacy. It is not rocket science. I refuse to accept this argument that it is not the people's fault. It is their fault. It is not rocket science to understand that the opposition, MDC, were elected and have been elected these last 25 years for the primary purpose that they would implement the democratic reforms. That is exactly what the whole party was launched on, the basis on which it was launched. Even called themselves the Movement for Democratic Change. Why is it that the people have failed to understand what is it that democratic change they were supposed to deliver? And follow it up and say, why have they failed to deliver it? And yet they have failed to deliver it. 25 years since the launch of the MDC in 1999, ZANU-PF is still able to blatantly rig elections. And not only that, rig elections and get away with it because the opposition have repeatedly conned the people to participate in those flawed elections. Even when the people have been warned again and again, if you participate, you give the process legitimacy. They participated. You give the regime legitimacy. So what do you expect? And I think to crown it all, the people have not only given these greedy psychopaths legitimacy, some of the people have gone one step further. They consider the likes of Chamisa a demigod. Chamisa has lied to them repeatedly about he would win rigged elections. And the people have believed him and participated in these flawed elections. And yet, even now, when you try to say to people, Chamisa lied to you in 2023, some people refuse to accept that. They accept the elections were rigged, but they cannot accept that Chamisa lied. How you can fail to see that there's a contradiction there, beggars belief. Chamisa said he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. And yet, ZANU-PF went on to blatantly rig the 2023 elections. That cannot be, you cannot put those two statements side by side and not see the contradiction. ZANU-PF has blatantly rigged the elections. The very opposite of what Chamisa said will not happen. I've often played this video clip, and I think it is worth playing it again and again and reminding people of the truth.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifo iri. Plan ya Mwari haifo iri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
I repeat, Chamisa lied that CCC was going to win the elections. This is more serious when you consider that we are now going into the 2028 elections. And Chamisa is going to repeat the same lie, that he's going to win those flawed elections and con people to participate in their millions to give ZANU PF legitimacy. We can't keep repeating the same mistake over and over again. After 45 years of rigged elections, we need to come to our senses and realize that we cannot keep on repeating the same mistake. What is stopping us doing so? People who believe that Chamisa is a demigod, infallible demigod, who cannot do anything wrong. And so they will believe whatever Chamisa tells them. We have a problem here, and we need to solve it. And we are not going to solve it by burying our heads in the sand and pretend a liar like Chamisa is a demigod. It is an outrage that in this day and age, anyone, let alone millions, could be conned into believing that a mere mortal can be an infallible demigod. Much more so, a mortal like Chamisa, with a well-documented history of failure, incompetence, and lying. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.